shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees, so fair. Today is the 30th day of March 2022, and we're right here in the Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing as well. I'd like to extend condolences to Minister Kenneth Bryan and his family for their loss, and also the family of the late Mr. Honorable Benson O. Ebanks, OBE, who passed away as well. And after my intro, I will read a statement that has been issued by the Premier of the Cayman Islands, Honorable G. Wayne Patton, in relation to Mr. Benson's passing as well. For those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Ort Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. And we have back with us none other than that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo, that toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And, of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. No guests in the studio at this point in time, but we will have the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and his Deputy, Mr. MP, Mr. Joe Hugh, in the studio with us after the 8 o'clock news as well. So, first, I'm going to share with you the statement on the passing of Mr. Benson Ebanks by the Premier, Honourable G. Wayne Patton, JP MP. And it reads, "It is with sadness that the government of the Cayman Islands recognizes the passing of Mr. Benson O. Ebanks, OBE, a distinguished former member of the Legislative Assembly. While many will remember Mr. Ebanks for his many years of dedicated public service as a representative for the District of West Bay and a member of Executive Council, his contributions to our country's development can be seen across public, private, and civic life. Mr. Benson was the proud father of the Caymanian Protection Law as it was originally enacted in March 1972. He was a stalwart champion of education and higher learning, and in 1986 he was instrumental in helping to establish the Sunrise Adult Learning Center in his role as Minister of Health, Education, and Social Services at the time. He was an astute businessman, serving as founding shareholder of Cayman National Bank and as chairman of the board from its inception in 1974 and then for the next 36 years. His role in the bank's development was duly recognized in November of 2016 when the Cayman Brac branch of the bank was dedicated to him. He had several retail businesses and encouraged others to consider entrepreneurship. Mr. Benson also put much of his time and talents into the building of the Cayman Islands socially. In 1966, he and other service-minded individuals helped charter the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman, which, over its 56-year history, has been responsible for many major projects, including the Bonaventure Boys Home and Francis Borden Home for Girls, the early organization of the Bada Banu Carnival, the annual Christmas tree lighting, and Senior Citizens Christmas Party, the Meals on Wheels program, Gun Amnesty program, and many other projects and fundraisers throughout the community. Mr. Benson was the first chairman of the National Council of Volunteer Organizations, which was formed to help meet the social needs of the community. He was committed to political stability, good governance, and the careful managed development of our beloved Cayman Islands. As a sign of respect, the Cayman Islands government will fly flags at half-staff on Wednesday, that is today, this says here the 29th, but it should be March the 30th, half-staff on Wednesday, March the 30th at all government sites, and then again for 2 days before Mr. Ebanks' funeral, which has not yet been announced. On behalf of us in government, we extend our deepest sympathies to his children, grandchildren, and extended family. He embodied the truest essence of being Caymanian and will be sorely missed. May his soul rest in peace. And that's a statement issued by the Honorable G. Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands, on the passing of Mr. Benson Ebanks, OBE. Now, based on what we've, all of the information that the Premier has given us in terms of Mr. Benson's accomplishments, when we talk about nation building in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Benson was the epitome of nation building. You saw all of the things that he was able to accomplish, some that were spearheaded by him, others that he participated in as well. Folks, when we talk about nation building, that is nation building. Now, of course, Mr. Benson was a politician. and no doubt would have and will have, his critics as well. But one thing that you cannot take away from him, and those are his accomplishments. Only a few days ago, I think it was on Monday, when we were talking about the Caymanian Protection Law. And, of course, that was introduced in the Cayman Islands on the 27th of March, 1972. It was debated in 1971 in the Legislative Assembly. Mr. Benson was the person who introduced and shepherded that bill through our Legislative Assembly. And again, if you get an opportunity to go and read the Hansards on the Legislative Assembly, now Parliament's website, you will see all of the contributions that, was made there in relation to that as well. So, again, we also here at Radio Cayman would wish to extend our sincere condolences to Mr. Benson's family, and no doubt the Cayman Islands would say thank you for loaning Mr. Benson to us. He was a consummate politician, consummate and successful businessman, and his name must be etched into the history of the Cayman Islands as well. I'm sure that there will be more to be said, of Mr. Benson, and I will, during the course of my research, hope to share things with you from newspapers and other sources as well. Okay. What else? Today, the 30th of March. If you're a fan of Jeopardy, then you may or may not know that on the 30th of March, 1964, that would be, I think, 58 years ago, that was when the first Jeopardy first aired on radio, on TV, game show, lots of trivia, but lots of information on there as well. Some people enjoy watching Jeopardy. I certainly do. And like I said, that Jeopardy premiered on the 30th of March in 1964. I think I have one more minute, maybe 2 minutes before we take our commercial break. Talking about fuel bills, electric bills. Last week sometime I shared with you what the Premier of Bermuda had done as far as their fuel prices were concerned, and asked the question, well, why is it that here in the Cayman Islands, the relevant authority could not do anything, or it seemed to be impotent as far as controlling fuel prices. They're more able to monitor than to control it. We see here in Barbados that their power company, Barbados Light and Power Company, I think they have been in existence in Barbados since somewhere around about 1916, I believe that. And there in Barbados, they have an entity called the Fair Trading Commission, and they have denied a Barbados Light and Power Company Limited proposal, which would have assured the utility company of a higher financial return on investment in its electricity generation plant. So here again, we have an entity that has clout. Not only do they have the clout, but they use it, especially when it is in the interest of the people, of the public. Again, just a comparison to our off-reg, the little paper tiger that we have that can tell you, they're monitoring the prices, but it seems as if they can only monitor, not much can be done. Can't blame them in a way if the legislation doesn't support it, so we need to look at the legislation if that is necessary. Folks, time for us to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Between 1949 and 1951, health officer Berta E. Banks and entomologist George Gigioli spearheaded the first serious fight against mosquito with spraying equipment and large quantities of the new insecticide DDT. The program was credited with eradicating the threat of yellow fever and malaria. In the later 50s, the program was upgraded with the purchase of the Todd insecticidal fog applicator, which was mounted on the back of a truck and delivered a noxious mist of DDT impregnated diesel oil.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Zara. If you are students in Cayman between 3 and 16 years old and love reading books like I do, welcome to the first Rotary Central Video Book Reports competition. Record your short video, no more than 90 seconds, on why you love your favorite book, what made you excited, or what made you laugh. There are lots of fabulous prizes. Too many to talk about now. For further information and sign up, go to Rotary Central Cayman Islands Facebook page or email david.rotarycentral@gmail.com. Record your book report video and send it by March 31st. So easy, so fun. The Rotary Central Cayman Islands Video Book Reports Competition. Rotary serves to change lives.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, but after the 8 o'clock news, we will have in the studio with us Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. We do have a caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
I hope somebody heard come in the studio so you can hush your mouth.
You know, I like nothing better than that, having someone in the studio with me.
He better hurry come.
Yeah, one of these days, I'm going to show up at your doorstep early in the morning, around about 7 o'clock when I come down, and pick you up and bring you in here with me.
You know that I'm a night person, but I'm here all night. But don't come to bed. Don't talk to me after 5 o'clock in the morning. I know not be talking to. But what's wrong with you? I mean, they can't afford to let you out. You got to get your talking points before you come out. Certain subjects are taboo.
Yes.
The word taboo means you don't trouble them.
You don't go there, huh?
Yeah, I go on. Thank you.
All right, my dear. You take care. So it's been quite a while that we haven't shared any COVID-19 updates here on For the Record. Not to say that they haven't been put out by government, but I haven't shared them with you. So the latest one, March the 29th, Public Health released the COVID-19 figures for 29th of March. Positive cases reported to Public Health during this period. For the 26th of March, there were 19. On the 27th of March, 29. And on the 28th of March, there were 44. So if we look at it, we see increase by 10 and then by another 15. And it goes on to say there are 522 estimated active cases of COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands. 3 patients are currently hospitalized for COVID-related causes. And of these, 2 are unvaccinated. And they say that the 7-day rolling average for the month of March was 39. The sister islands also noted 2 new cases since their last report, bringing total cases since the beginning of the pandemic to 654. It'll be interesting, in next week or so, after the arrival of cruise ships in the Cayman Islands, to see whether or not there's any significant change. And I'm sure that the authorities will be monitoring that extremely closely and are certainly eager to know the results as well. That will tell us a lot, but that still does not mean, folks, that we should let our guard down. In the meantime, we still have to remain alert. We still have to remain astute. We still have to ensure that we follow all of the protocols. I know that the mask issue is one that people are still concerned about and would like to see that resolved, where people no longer have to wear masks and do so on their own volition rather than being required to. And we'll see what happens, with that as well. And we really, really, really hope for the best. Been hearing some buzz about the port, and of course we know that there have been changes at the Port Authority as far as not only board members but the management as well. And yesterday I heard something being said about the fact that that workers there were considering going on strike as well. And just want to say to you, and I'm not encouraging anyone to go on strike, but it wouldn't be anything new for the Cayman Islands as far as the dock is concerned, because you know what, folks? On the 31st of March, 1966, the Trade Winds newspaper carried an article in there about dock workers' strike. And the article said that it was reported that week that workers unloading the ships refused to work without an increase in pay. Most of this work is done by very young boys, and it is further reported that the age of some of the boys was investigated, and all under the age of 15 forbidden to work as underage. Few, if any, men have undertaken this employment, probably because the wage was apparently only 17 shillings and 6 pence, which was approximately $2.50 a day. Goes on to say that the boys are now back at work on being promised that their pay is to be double to 35 shillings, which would then be $5 a day. The article goes on to say that on approaching the acting head of the customs Wednesday noon, Trade Winds was told, the person is quoted as saying, "I'm not in a position to confirm this rumor. No further information could be obtained from other members of the customs staff other than there had been a misunderstanding which now had been straightened out." But also what had happened there, the reason that there were young boys working on the dock was because this is the same time that the runway was being built. And people were attracted to work on the runway because the wages were much better, much higher there as well. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the dock and the warehouse down there, there was a concrete ramp that led up from the dock itself to the warehouse. That ramp, it was an incline, and what you used to carry the goods from the ship, after they were taken off the ship, put on the dock, we use what you call a hand truck to load those goods, and of course you would have to pull that hand truck up that ramp into there. So young boys were in good physical shape to be able to do that as well. Of course, there were other perks you got as well when some of the ships came in that they were offloading, for instance, watermelons. That was done by hand, and you'd form a chain gang, and they would throw the watermelons from one person to the other. And of course, you occasionally would accidentally drop one to make sure that it burst open, and then of course you knew where you got your little snack from that as well. Top of the hour, folks, 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will be conversing with the leader of the opposition and his deputy, so please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And the studio time now by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
This Easter, make it all about eating better with Foster's.
Make it easy with our all-new Easter dinners, prepared fresh by our deli team.
First, choose your main from Escovitch snapper, Cayman-style beef, maple glazed ham, and smoked jerk pork shoulder.
Then customize it with your choice of sides and desserts. Plus, every order comes with dinner rolls and coleslaw.
And the best part? All you need to do is serve and enjoy.
Order yours online from $94.99 at fosters.ky/Easter.
This Easter, make it Foster's. Better because we care.
Of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman-Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. On Monday, Justice Richard Williams of the Grand Court delivered a judgment concluding that the governor acted lawfully when he relied on his reserved powers under the Constitution to enact the Civil Partnership Act 2020. The CPA provides for both opposite and same-sex couples to enter into a civil partnership. Section 81 of the Constitution gives the governor the power to enact legislation with the approval of the UK Secretary of State. It was through Section 81 that Governor Martin Roper enacted the Domestic Partnership Law, ultimately renamed the Civil Partnership Law, and amended 11 accompanying pieces of legislation to bring it in line with the legal framework formalizing same-sex relationships. Local advocacy group Colors Caribbean says, quote, the LGBTQIA+ community of the Cayman Islands as a whole can now rest easy in the knowledge that their civil partnerships will remain legally recognized indefinitely. An East End man is under investigation in connection with cockfighting, illegal drugs, and alcohol sales. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
On Sunday, police arrived at a home on John McLean Drive to find a crowd, alcohol, and cockfighting. There were 2 injured roosters in a fighting ring, and when officers searched the site, say there were cages with roosters and chickens inside, some shaved and groomed, others wearing spurs. Police say they also found individual packages of ganja and a significant quantity of alcohol. They arrested a 55-year-old East End man on suspicion of possession of ganja with intent to supply and other drug-related offenses, as well as cruelty to animals. Police say the crowd started to get aggressive and began to get larger. So for their own safety, they left with the suspect and the items they'd seized. The man was bailed by police, and the investigation is still underway. As to the roosters, the Animal Welfare Unit with Department of Agriculture recovered 17 of them at the scene. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
The Department of Commerce and Investment says effective immediately, incomplete applications will no longer be accepted. More from Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego.
DCI says it's the applicant's responsibility to provide the required information in order for the application to be processed in a timely manner. According to officials, the decision is being taken in alignment with the DCI promise to always provide clients with excellent customer service. By reducing the amount of time spent on incomplete applications, the DCI team will be able to process applications faster and increase the turnaround time for customers who submit complete applications. DCI is also encouraging members of the public to visit their website, that is dci.gov.ky, to review application checklists before submitting applications at the business licensing counter and via their online portal. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. The governor of northern Ukraine's Chernihiv region has said that Russian forces have continued to attack cities there, despite Moscow's promise of a drastic reduction in military activity in the area as well as around Kyiv. Germany has activated the first stage of its gas emergency plan to prepare for potential stoppages of natural gas flowing from Russia. The economy minister said Germany had to be prepared for a Russian escalation. Poland has announced plans to wean itself off most imports of Russian coal, gas and oil by the end of 2022. The Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, said stupid policies had made Europe dependent on Russia. The UN's refugee agency says that over the 5 weeks since the conflict began, more than 4 million people have fled Ukraine. Most have headed to the European Union. 2 senior British judges have resigned from Hong Kong's highest court. Officials said China's new security law made the judges' presence untenable. The largest partner in Pakistan's governing coalition has switched sides before a parliamentary vote of no confidence. The move jeopardises the future of Prime Minister Imran Khan. Congolese rebels have denied shooting down a UN helicopter. The M23 group blamed local soldiers for the incident, which left 8 peacekeepers dead. Inflation in Spain has risen to an annual rate of 9.8%. It's the country's highest level since 1985. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good. Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.com. KY or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a new and second location in Governor's Square. The new Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor's Square is open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health.
It's an early years extravaganza, the first ever of its kind, happening right here in the Cayman Islands at Victory Tabernacle, Eastern Avenue, on Sunday, April 3 at 4:30 p.m. It will be an evening of excellence. If you have children between the ages of 6 months to 8 years old, come on down and join this expression of the arts. There will be music, dances, poems, early years fashion show, and much, much more. To register your item, please scan the QR code on the flyer or email us at ecce@gov.ky. This is brought to you by the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit in the Ministry of Education. It's an early years extravaganza at Victory Tabernacle, Eastern Avenue, on Sunday, April 3 at 4:30 p.m.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello?
Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Brit K. Good like that.
Pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 98%. The barometric pressure is 29.96 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east-southeast at 6 knots. Overnight low temperature was 75 degrees. Synopsis indicate fresh southeasterly winds and rough seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a high-pressure system over the southeast United States. Satellite images show scattered low-level clouds around the Cayman area moving towards the west. The forecast for tonight and today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the mid-80s today and will fall to the low 70s tonight. Winds will be southeast at 15 to 20 knots and seas will be rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet. Small craft warning remains in effect for today and tonight as well. High tide will be this morning at 8:32, low tide this afternoon at 2:50, and a high tide again tonight at 8:57. The sun will set this evening at 6:38 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:20. And the outlook is calling for moderate winds and seas from Friday evening as the high-pressure system drifts over the western Atlantic Ocean.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit K, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Brit K. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. On the Westby Road heading to Georgetown, especially in the vicinity of the Ritz-Carlton, traffic is steady but flowing. We understand there's an accident around the vicinity of the roundabout in the vicinity of the Cost-U-Less, so be aware of that on your commute this morning. Is adding to some delay in traffic on the Esterly-Tibbetts Highway. As we look to the east, Shamrock Road, traffic is busy, as well as on the Linford-Pearson Highway and coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, as well as on Agnes Way, traffic is heavy. And on Coo Road, traffic busy heading to Georgetown, and eastbound traffic on Coo Road is moving on moderately, and traffic flow at a good pace on Owen Roberts Drive, as well as on Edward Street and Shedden Road, not looking too bad. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, moderate flow of traffic. And traffic also busy on Walker's Road heading to Georgetown. And that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good.
Wow.
Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Refilling and transferring your prescriptions have never been this easy. Simply go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and follow the easy directions from your desktop, mobile device, or tablet. All you need to do is pop into Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor to collect your prescription. They're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 till 6 on Sundays and public holidays. No waiting in line, no wasting your lunch hour, no stress. Just easy online prescription refills and transfers from the pharmacy that has been caring about your health for 25 years. Call 947-8900 to speak to a pharmacist or go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and make life easy.
Calling all amateur bakers in the Cayman Islands. Celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Taking part in the Cayman Islands Platinum Cake Competition. His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper invites you to submit your homemade dessert recipe to the Governor's office by April 3rd. Win a chance to have your dessert recreated for the Queen's birthday party in June. Do you have what it bakes? Well, submit today at gov.ky/Jubilee.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me none other than the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and thank you once again for hosting us this morning. Beautiful Wednesday morning outside. I'm looking forward to some good conversation this morning with you and your listeners.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to all those tuning in to us this morning. Certainly a pleasure, always a pleasure to be here in our own Radio Cayman. We're looking forward to some robust conversation.
Definitely. Now, yesterday we got the sad news that Mr. Benson had passed away, a real stalwart, a statesman, entrepreneur in the Cayman Islands. So again, we have lost another one of our icons, a political icon in the Cayman Islands. Yeah.
And you're dead right, OC, and very sad news yesterday with his passing. So in my capacity as leader, I'd like at this time, if you wouldn't, just publicly to state our condolences to the family and just to let them know that we grieve with them and we're praying for them. I'm really deeply sorry to learn of his passing yesterday. So thank you for the opportunity and for raising that first.
Yeah, I'd like to also offer my condolences to the entire family. Certainly spending my time growing up in West Bay, Mr. Benson was a stalwart man, Caymanian of the earth, as we would say. And the memories are bountiful and fond. And then again, growing up and as I entered the business world, my interaction with him at Cayman National Bank was, always pleasurable, and in certain cases, I was extremely grateful for his tutelage and intervention there, and certainly will be missed, has been missed, and will be missed. Yes,
definitely. Okay. What else that I'll mention before I give you gentlemen the mic? We see where the Justice Richard Williams in the Grand Court, who presided over the judicial review that was challenging the governor's powers on enacting the civil union legislation, and they have ruled in terms of that the governor had the right to do that. I haven't read the judgment yet, but I guess unless it is appealed, that becomes settled now, and it's good that people are choosing to challenge things. As long as it has merit, and of course the courts wouldn't allow the challenges if there weren't some merit, towards the challenge as well, because it helps, to bring clarity to some of the things that we have in our Constitution that have not yet been fully clarified.
Yes, and I have to agree with you on your observations there, OC. I'm grateful that, to me the matter should now be settled with regard to this. Certainly what transpired, with the governor using his powers under Section 81 of the Constitution, that was the intent, that he should have and he should retain that power. You will recall that when we were negotiating with the UK on the amendments to the Constitution about 2 years ago.
Yes.
That was one. It is. Time flies, but
COVID,
it was one. One of the things that we sought to have was to remove that ability in Section 81, and I remember, our then Premier Sir Alden, talking with him numerous times and learning, just how hard he fought to get that, and they did consent to take it out of the Constitution. But then, when we failed, the legislature failed to enact the Civil Unions Bill. They made it clear to us very quickly that that was now off the table. So it was really, really disappointing that was the case. But probably understandably so that they went ahead and took it off. If the legislature at that time just couldn't get through something as important a piece of legislation as that was. I'm glad for the clarity.
Yes.
And with regard to that issue now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, absolutely. I support that. I mean, it's funny that I was just in the UK for the Commonwealth celebrations. Went on behalf of the Cayman Islands Parliament, representing Parliament along with the representative from East End, Mr. Isaac Rank. Member from East End,
yes,
and along with the Deputy Clerk, Miss Patricia, and I always call her Ratowski because that's how I knew her. But her husband will have to forgive me. It was while we were there at the seminar and all the presentations were held at Westminster, and quite often I would walk by and I would see the Churchill's War Room Wi-Fi would pop up on my or even an identification that you're near it, and that was a highlight of being a part of that negotiating team. Was that we were sitting right on top of Churchill's War Room, and it would always show up in my phone. I remember taking a screenshot saying I'm sitting in Churchill's War Room. But it is, that we thought that was probably for the region the greatest victory that at the time that came out of those negotiations. And also that the UK would also have to consult with us if they were to seek to bring legislation for us in the UK Parliament. So we've gotten that into the Constitution. But the Section 81, the removal of Section 81, was a very heated discussion, and it certainly dominated our negotiations. And we were just over the moon when they came back and said that they would include it. And then I guess at least now we know with the judicial review and the verdict that the Section 81 is there. It can be used by the governor now. We understand that unless we are in a position to make these difficult decisions ourselves, the UK government will always leave that there in the Constitution and always have that power. And now that actually removes the need for them to pass legislation in the UK Parliament, which we fought hard to have a clause in there that they would have to consult with us before doing so. Yeah. So, the Constitution, I think the leader spoke about Sir Alden, who was instrumental in implementing the Constitution, passing the Constitution and the recent amendments, and it's a work in progress. And I guess the next round we'll have to revisit that Section 81 again, and perhaps other parts of the Constitution. But this is, I mean, this is why that system is in place with the legislature, with the courts, and that's the way it should work in a free and democratic society.
And we see now in Bermuda where the governor's prerogative or power to disallow legislation is likely to rear its head again, because it seems as if the legislature in Bermuda, they're going to pass cannabis legislation. It was stalled because it failed in their Senate.
Okay.
And so they had to wait, I think it was a 6-month period or longer before it could be reintroduced. It has been reintroduced now. And of course the UK have signaled their reluctance, or pointed out the fact that they will not assent to the legislation if it breaches any of their international obligations, UN obligations, as far as the cannabis or drugs are concerned. Well, what I find a little bit contradictory with that, and the UK sort of like talking out of both sides of their mouths, is that in this particular case they are gung-ho on ensuring. So here it says the governor will not automatically sign the law or the legislation to allow legal growth and sale of cannabis if it is ruled to be not in line with United Nations drug conventions, right? So they're happy to go with the UN drug convictions on that one, but yet they're saying in another breath that they're the decolonization committee and their recommendations, they're not following them for the Cayman Islands because they believe that we should no longer be on the list of non-self-governing territories because we have attained the level that we want to attain. So they ignore the decolonization, certain aspects of that, but at the same time, they're prepared to use this one as a crutch. But it's interesting. So that's gonna come up, and I'm sure that there's likely to be some legal challenges to that as well, because this is one of the promises that the ruling government made in their election campaign.
Absolutely.
As well. Yes,
and I guess too, OC, that what transpires in Bermuda over this issue will be very instructive as well for us.
Yes.
In terms of any changes that would be coming in out of, from the government with regard to this issue, because it featured quite prominently in the election, and many there were campaigned on it as an issue. So I think it's something we have to watch very closely because it will have a direct effect.
Yeah, BVI also looking at the same thing.
Yes, so, absolutely.
Okay, this is a good time for us to take a commercial break. But folks, when we return, the conversation with the leader of the opposition and his deputy will continue. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy MacTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. So, gentlemen, on the local scene, what else is happening? What's happening in our Parliament? Our last meeting that we had, that was for what purpose?
Gee, that's been a while too.
Well, you had Finance Committee.
We had Finance Committee.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a little over a week ago. That was to approve a number of additional appropriations that they required under Section 12 of the Public Management and Finance Act, with regard to COVID expenses in terms of giving support to local businesses and small and micro businesses and a lot of more additional expenses that they're incurring with regard to dealing with COVID. And so it wasn't a very long meeting, actually. I think it lasted probably all of about 30 minutes. From the opposition standpoint, having seen what they were seeking for, there really wasn't, very much to query, but just, basically to understand. I mean, always the central question with these things is it enough? You don't often hear that when it comes to an opposition looking at the government and querying their spending. But we have just been hugely supportive all along of the private sector and the need to lend support and provide assistance, financial assistance during this whole pandemic. And we're firmly of the view that even going forward, further assistance is going to be needed. Yes, we have opened up, and we are welcoming tourism back, but it's the return it's going to take, in my mind, several years to get back anything near what stayover tourism was like. And in the meantime, people will still continue to hurt financially, and my view is that continued support will be needed, at least for the short to medium term, with regard to our local businesses who are still struggling.
Now, as far as the road works are concerned, we see where the extension of the Linford-Pearson Highway that is being worked on now. It appears as if additional lanes, will be added. Someone commented to me that, as far as funding was concerned, that the minister plans on using next year's budget funds to continue to fund if there's a shortfall in this year's budget. Yeah. And off the air earlier, I spoke to the leader of the opposition, and he confirmed that. But for public consumption, so that the public can know as well. I'll just ask the question again. That the way, because we have a two-year budget. If you start a project in year one, can you then use the funds that are earmarked for year two in year one if they're needed?
Yes. And the short answer to that question, OC, is yes. When we amended the Public Management and Finance Act, I think it was in 2017 when we're introducing the two-year budget. That was one of the things that we did, is that we did do, the Act was written in such a way that government is allowed, having exhausted a funding in year one, to be able to reach forward to year two and bring that transfer that money into year one. Similarly, at the end of year one, those unused funding that exists in year one, they automatically roll into year two, and they have the ability to use and suspend those funds during that time period. And what that really does, it gives government flexibility in how it arranges its affairs, because you might have a project planned for year two, but circumstances might change in year one where you need to get it completed quite quickly, so you can borrow the funds, take the funds out of year two, and it all being approved by the Legislative Assembly. There's no need really to go back. But when you dip forward and you pull money from year two, what it usually means is that in year two you may likely have to come back for a supplementary. Okay. Not necessarily all the time, but certainly for operational spending, it normally would mean you would have to come back to the Parliament to seek funding in the second year. But it's totally fine.
Okay.
But that is when those funds are appropriated for that particular project. So if you're running ahead of the schedule on the project, you're able to move up that funding. Mm-hmm. There is still the circumstance, in particular when it comes to major projects, where at the end of the 2-year cycle, you can't carry those funds over.
Okay.
You have to go. Yes. You have to budget again for the remaining. So you have to assess at that point, where are we in the budget, and then assess for that point. And so it has been from the capital works side. It has been extremely helpful. It gives the major projects office the ability to plan over the 2 years, mm-hmm. and for the contractors to plan over the 2 years. What we had happening previously was that once the funding or the contractor had reached the even if they were ahead of schedule and they've gotten to that phase and the funding was over, works would have to stop.
Yes.
Until the next budget cycle.
No
continuity. Or you'd have to borrow money from another project which was appropriated for that year and transfer it over to the project. So it is useful. I think in when it comes to major road works, the funding is generally appropriated over to the National Roads Authority, and they have a list of roads that they plan to do, and that's how you come to that figure. But if they want to prioritize and use the funding for another road versus if they don't think they're going to get to East-West Arterial in the next year and a half, then they can go ahead and use that money over on the Linford-Pearson extension. Okay. So I think what I see happening there is that they're using a portion of the property where they used to park the planes during the storms, mm-hmm. the MRCU planes, to do temporary lanes as they construct the permanent lanes. Okay. And so there was a lot of work. A lot of work had been done on that. I think the cabinet paper either had been approved or was into cabinet when we went into the early election. And I truly have to recognize the hard work by Tristan Hydes and the ministry team on that, and also thank, not knowing if this is exactly the same deal, but also thank Mr. Bobby
Thompson
for his cooperation, and the family. They were open to weeks and weeks of negotiations and discussions, and so I personally would like to thank them. This is an important piece of road, and for the future, and anything that we do further east of that, it comes right down to that section, and so that's so important to have that done. And I just, I congratulate everybody involved if we can get it started and get it done.
Yeah, okay. Now, Mr. Hugh, this is right up your alley as well, because I think you would have been responsible for transport as a minister.
No.
Oh, okay.
Roads transport falls under tourism.
Okay.
Because it's one of those things. Also, sorry to cut you, but
sure.
Obviously, I spent 4 years. I spent 4 years as a councillor under. At the time, we called it a councillor under the Honourable Deputy Premier at the time, Mosca Colonel, and we had a fantastic working relationship. And then when I went into as Minister of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, we continued to work together when looking at transportation, because they go hand in hand. Georgetown revitalization, roads and transportation, when we talk about public transportation. So under the umbrella of transportation includes the Port Authority and the airport.
Okay. Now, because I see one of our local media carried a story recently about the public transport, the test, the fact that there are some companies that I think a combined total of about 40 buses that they want to get moving, but they can't necessarily get drivers because of the testing and the requirements. Of that. There was one part there that sort of like struck me though, where they were two owners were complaining about the nature of the test and having to know certain things about the islands and everything else. And I was curious to know whether, because we do have concierges in the hotels, and many of those concierges are non-Caymanian as well. And the bus owner's argument is that sometimes those bus drivers may not even have a conversation with a tourist, because you may have guides on the bus themselves that would be part of their responsibility. And whether or not the requirements for concierges at the hotels in terms of knowing the history of the Cayman Islands and everything else, is that a requirement there, similar to what we're asking bus drivers or tour drivers to knowing the Cayman Islands?
There's not a requirement there, although I do know that a lot of the hotels require their those frontline staff to take the course, and I'm failing to remember the course that the Department of Tourism offers. And so I do know that that particular course, one of the issues with taking that test and taking the course is that it's I might say at times oversubscribed. So there is a waiting list to take the course. That the issue of that particular test for public transport has been an issue. Has been a very topical issue over the last few years, and we made some grounds where we identified people that just did transferring persons from the hotel to the dive boat, or from the cruise ship to the dive boat, was a different license from a person that did island tours. And then, again, what is a tour? Because if you're doing from the cruise terminal to the turtle farm, is that a tour, or is the turtle farm the tour? So is a bus is the actual bus ride from the cruise terminal to the turtle farm a tour, or is the tour the actual turtle farm, and then the bus takes them back to the cruise terminal again? So these are the challenges, but nevertheless, I think what has happened, where the short-sightedness has taken place, is that they knew that cruise ships were coming, and they should have put some processes in place that even if they were to say, submit your licenses, we'll give you provisional licenses, but within 3 months or within 4 months you have to fulfill these other requirements. Even the drug tests, I understand, are quite costly. So if someone that has been unemployed for a while, to find the money to go and do the drug test, but even so, and then that the results of that takes a few days as well.
Because it can only be done at the HSA.
At the HSA, yes. Right. So you have that situation. So what they were facing, and what a lot of the tour operators have come to me and said, whether they had 2 buses or they had 20 buses, it's all relative. But they've been sitting for 2 years. They had a lot of repairs to the buses. They had then to relicense the buses, reinsure the buses. What I've heard is that a majority of them, they have Caymanians that are willing to do the job, even if some of them are part-time. But then once a Caymanian finds out that they have to do police record, drug tests, and take this exam, they go off and find something else to do, and they lose that opportunity.
Now, was that exam available during the COVID-19 period that they could have prepared in advance? Because I'm wondering whether or not the blame or the responsibility, has to be shared on both sides.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm not sure about either. Which I wouldn't be surprised that if your tour operator's license had lapsed because you didn't want to pay the fees, or you went on to do something else and now you're returning. I don't know if you have to go through the entire process or to pass the exam again. But I do know that persons found the entire process and all of the fees. People. What they said to me is, there's no way in the world I could afford to go and get a $3,000 work permit. So I have Caymanians that want to do it, but in particular the exam and the length of time you have to wait on it has been a deterrent for them to hire these individuals. And so they just found that I think the communication from the government to say crews will be back on this day to give persons time to prepare, as well as perhaps a bit more understanding from the public transport unit to say, okay, we'll give you
a provisional license.
A provisional license, and you have to fulfill these other requirements.
Right.
So
if it's within the ambit of their
if it is. The other thing I want to raise real quickly is that I've had to fight several times with them about allowing persons to take that test orally, and they're very hesitant to do it. But the law does provide for them to take the test orally.
Okay, and we can talk a little bit more about that when we return from this commercial break as well, because there were other departments that had challenges with that as well, where people, knew the work, but had challenges, from a literacy standpoint as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Mama, Dada, Anna, Uncle, please go get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of yourself. You're the reason I got vaccinated.
You must practice social distancing and proper hand hygiene and never forget your mask. Help me, help you. Get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of conditions that make you vulnerable. Get boosted. We're in this together.
Visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn more.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. I want to remind you as well that the phone lines are open. If you have a question or a comment, our toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. Also 949-8037, 949-6990, or email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky, or WhatsApp us 925-3261. Gentlemen, over to you.
No, I think we were just at the.
Oh yes, talking about the and I know that there were other departments that had challenges when it came to a written test and an oral test, and I believe personally that people should not be prevented from practicing their profession just because they can't pass a written test if there are other means of assessing that person's abilities and capabilities and competencies.
Right, because it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is completely illiterate because they can't pass a written test. There may be one aspect of it where they are not comfortable with their writing or their spelling, but they can read perfectly fine. And there may be issues such as dyslexia, etc. And then on top of that, you're nervous. And so, quite often they'll find it has nothing to do with command of the English language, but just sometimes people feel more comfortable. They know the information. You can't beat them at their profession, whatever that may be. But they just don't feel comfortable or capable doing a written exam and can do it quite well and do quite well with it orally. So I think these are the things that these are some of the things that we as a government and certainly those agencies who deal with the public need to be cognizant of and provide these sorts of services for individuals that will empower them to move on to make a proper living for themselves.
Definitely.
And to provide for themselves.
Yeah. Mr. Leader?
No, I fully understand that and absolutely need for it. As I think my colleague said earlier, I think the law actually allows for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
In some
cases, it should be. It should be. There should be no hesitancy on those agencies administering it to do so on it orally. I mean, it seems perfectly logical to me.
Okay, so if you were a government at this point in time, based on what those two transport operators are facing, what would you offer as a solution to the issues that they're facing? Some persons, they have a fleet of maybe 40 buses or 20 buses. Only 10 are operational because they don't have the drivers for the others because of this issue that they have.
Right. So I spoke to some of them. I spoke to some of the small operators as well. It just takes for someone in the ministry to sit with them and this may have happened since the story or before the story came out, and hear their concerns and then act as that bridge between them and the public transport unit to come to an understanding. And like I said, I think one of the things that could be done is to provide those provisional licenses until they fulfill all of the requirements, if they're allowed to do so under the law. I think most of these things are in the regulations versus law, because the public transport falls under the traffic law.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think most of these are regulations, and so they they can make temporary changes, or they can make allowances for these sorts of things, and ensure that people get back to work, that these companies can get up and running, and that we don't have a situation where passengers are finding themselves at the cruise terminal or at the airport without the ability to do their tour or find proper transportation, because that is also an issue. It's when we're in a small country, you can't really say, like other larger countries, if you are a airport operator, you're not allowed at the cruise port. If you're a cruise port operator, you're not allowed at the airport. These companies are having to do both. Unfortunately, the day that you have cruise ships in and you have a lot of flights, one or the other suffers. If there's a lot of flights and there's only one cruise ship, there's not enough out there to provide tours for persons at the cruise terminal, and vice versa. So.
Okay, we have a caller. We have about 4 minutes before we have to go to the break, so we're going to try to accommodate the caller within that period. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, and good morning to the Honorable McTaggart.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Honorable Mr. Hewitt, his deputy.
Morning.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
I would just like to clarify a matter that Mr. For the Record, that you made earlier when the show opened.
Mm-hmm.
And that is concerning Section 81.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Although I do concur with the judgment, with Mr. Mr. Justice Williams' judgment. Remember, I said on your show so many times that case could not be won.
Yes.
That case could not be won because Section 81 is very clear about the prerogative powers of the Crown to do things, and Section 81 embodies those powers. The only thing that I disagree with you with is when you say it's no settled law.
Okay.
It's not settled law. It's only a first instance case.
Mm-hmm.
It would only be settled law if it goes to the highest court, and then the law would be settled.
Okay.
It's a first instance grand court case. It's not settled.
Mm-hmm. I think I sort of said something like that, unless they chose to appeal. But I understand now. So settled is when it actually goes to the highest court and it can't go anywhere else.
Exactly.
Got
exactly.
You. Thank you.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's all.
That's all for me. Okay. I'll talk to you. We'll see what's happening on Friday.
Yes,
as
sir.
well. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Miss Susan, you're not ready for me yet, right? You want us to talk for a few more minutes? Oh, we have another caller? Okay, let's grab the caller. If we can't finish, we'll ask the caller to hold on because the headline news is just very short. So, caller, we're going to start with you. If you're not finished, we're going to ask you to hold on while we do the headline news, and then we will continue the conversation. But let's start it now. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I'm calling regarding the saying the bus license for drivers.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have clean police records. They have to take a drug test, and some of them is backing down because maybe they have a criminal record. But depending on what happened, you're supposed to have something there about second chances. And when it comes to a drug test, you can take a test. They can take a test with them today, and they pass it. And when they're ready to drive, they can be smoking, so you got to have somebody else there every morning making sure to take that drug test. Not only drug test, the most deadly thing on the road is drinking alcohol, so you got to need a breathalyzer every morning too. So right there, that's a blockage again for Caymanians not to get a job. So you got to take that out. That doesn't make sense unless you have somebody checking every morning, taking their breath test and taking their urine test or whatever, because they can take it and be clear just to get that license, and when they start to drive on the road with tourists, they can be drinking alcohol and smoking ganja and hitting cocaine or whatever, and nobody knows.
But you're not objecting to the testing, are you?
I'm not objecting to it, but what I'm saying is that even if they take it and they don't pass it, somebody else there, that means that they will have to take all the taxi drivers and all the bus drivers urine and drug alcohol test every morning or every night before they go on the road.
Yeah, because you're saying if they even pass the initial test, that doesn't mean that they won't use in the future. And there are the police and the public transport enforcement officers that are there to uphold those laws.
So it doesn't matter if past it, because a lot of them on the road right now, proper taxi drivers and bus drivers, and they drink alcohol, and they can be going the next morning with a hangover, and they can be, you understand? So
okay. Caller, I'm going to ask you to hold on there for a minute. We're going to take our headline news, and then we're going to ask you to wrap up as soon as we return. Please stay tuned, folks. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government reported 92 cases of COVID-19 between Saturday and Monday this week, 2 of those in the Sister Islands. There are 522 estimated active cases of COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands, with 3 patients in the hospital. The Kremlin has played down hopes of a breakthrough following talks between Russian and Ukrainian delegates in Istanbul this week. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov says nothing very promising was said or any breakthroughs achieved. Russia said on Tuesday it would pull back forces from Kyiv and another city, Chernihiv. Western officials says this reflects failures to gain ground in many areas. But the governor of Chernihiv region said there was no let-up in strikes overnight. And Ukrainian officials say Russia is shelling nearly all cities on the front line in the eastern Donetsk region. Heavy fighting has been occurring on both sides there since the start of the war. In Mariupol, where thousands of civilians have been killed, Russia is close to taking the city completely, according to analysts. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going to wrap up the conversation that we were having with the previous caller. We do have another caller on hold. So, caller, thanks for holding on.
Yeah, good morning. And like I said, that's probably why a lot of them is backing down, because they use drugs or they use alcohol, and it's probably still in the system, and they got scared. And they probably has a police record. I mean, depending on what it is, whatever it is, they can deserve a second chance, because they say they want to put our people back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a second chance, and you warn them sternly, even if they can come ahead and take the test and do whatever. But if they found it, ganja or any kind of drugs in the urine or whatever, or alcohol or whatever, then you warn them and say, listen, if we got issue this time, I know, but after we test it up, because there's a certain time it comes out of their system, they say, just like how they have a drug court or whatever, and after this time, you write down the amount of alcohol they had in the system at the first time, the urine, whatever, and if they come back there with more in the system, you know that they're still doing it. So if you come back and they get less, it goes like, I think just like 7 or 8 weeks or something like that, in drug system or the court. You know, because I've been in the court system there, helping people there, you know, and stuff like that, so I know how it goes.
All right.
So it's in there. They give them a certain amount of time, and if not, when they come back, then they probably put them in imprisonment, or they put them in a probation period, or something like that, or some community service. You know.
Got you. Thank.
Make up say, well, when you come back, like in another, just say give them the 2 months or 3 months. The next 3 months, if your guy is not clear, that means that you continuously taking the drugs or whatever, alcohol, if you have to revoke your
Understood. I want to thank you. Thank you very much for that. We're going to go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, folks. Good morning to the Honorable Leader of Opposition and the Honorable Deputy Leader of Opposition.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. And our condolences to you and your family.
Yes.
Thank you so much. As you know, I try my best to stay abreast of what's being said in the news, regardless of the circumstances. So I was listening earlier, so I do want to say thank you so much for both members of opposition for their input in respect to the area of responsibility for myself, that being transportation unit. I want to acknowledge that, yes, that there is some stumbling blocks in processing, and I've instructed my team to try to have more meetings per month to allow the processing process to be quicker. But I want to highlight, though, that something that a lot of people may not be considering, which is some stakeholders are hoping for this process and for things to be removed in the process. So it'll make it easier for work permit holders to be selected for these posts. And this government has said numerous times is focusing on the Caymanian first approach. Like, for example, this basic knowledge test of the Cayman Islands is seeming to be difficult for some. And that's because usually they're not even from the Cayman Islands or have not spent a day in the Cayman Islands. That's one that I, as minister, on behalf of my government, I will not ease up on at all, because I think it's one hurdle in the way to protect Caymanians, to make sure that they are the first priority we go to. Now, granted, I understand the industry needs the employees that they have to get the industry going, but that's a very delicate balance, because there's always the excuses that they need the employees while they overlook Caymanians. Now, I want to say thank you so much to that caller who just called in talking about second chance programs. I'm a prime example of a second chance person, and I would support a review, because I've already instructed my team to do so, to see whether or not we can review that and have it done in a different way rather than a test up front. Now, I didn't think that was an issue, because most people in the public would obviously feel more comfortable knowing that those who drive buses and tours are tested from the get-go. But she has a good point. They can be cloned for a period of time and then do those things afterwards. So maybe best change to a periodic testing, not necessarily at the start. But I want to make sure that it's clear that much of what some of the industry members are saying is for us to reduce testing is not necessarily in favor for Caymanians, but for those who are on work permit who want these jobs. And again, as minister, I am not going to support anything to make it easier for a work permit holder to get a job over a Caymanian. Now, I'll be happy to talk about anything else for processing, but...
Thank you, Minister. But I want to clarify that I don't think any one of us there this morning said that we should remove the test. I think the recommendation made when Mr. Connor asked me what would we do if we were the government, the recommendation was made that if there are challenges in getting access to the test or the class that the Department of Tourism actually provides, that we then make some allowances that they are given a conditional license that they have to pass a test within a few months, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the delays are, so that individuals can get back to work, or companies, Caymanian companies, can get their buses back on the road, and whether it's Caymanian drivers or not. But I just want to clarify that no one here said that we supported removing the test, but certainly suggested that perhaps we want to make sure that persons, and if you want to limit it to Caymanians only, that are unable to do the test written or given an opportunity to do it orally, and also if there are delays, then perhaps provide provisional licenses, in particular for those who may have held a license previously.
Well, I want to say thank you so much, Cousin Q, for that suggestion. I'm glad that we are on the same page, because I'm minded to do exactly that, which is for Caymanians, allow that. But what the public doesn't know is much of the applications that some stakeholders are talking about are applications for work permit holders, and I refuse to make it any easier for them. I apologize. Matter of fact, I don't apologize at all for that statement. So yes, I've asked my team, what can we do to make this easier? Some of the suggestions are, for one, meeting more often, and two, accepting potentially a provisional for Caymanians. So as you probably have seen in the media, I'm doing a strategic overall review of the transportation system, period. And in the interim, to make sure the industry is going, what I would suggest is that in most cases, these tests are not difficult for locals. And I don't want to get into the personal applications at all, but why there seems to be a claim as to making it difficult is because most of these people who are applying are not Caymanian. So if there's a specific Caymanian who is applying for these jobs that need assistance that we can make leverage for, I would be happy to do so, and I would instruct the team there to do that, but not on behalf of work permit holders. If you want to come to Cayman and you want to sell the product of Cayman to tourists, you have to know about the product. It's just something that we've always done from a tourism perspective, and I think both the members in the studio would agree to that. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I have no issue with ensuring that there is that quality there. what I think we were discussing is how do we get these Caymanian companies back up and running under the law. I think we actually said if the law provided, under the law, given them time or given their employees time to fulfill all the requirements, therefore taking some of the pressure off the unit, as well as getting the companies back on the road to support our tourism products. So from that perspective, we absolutely support it.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure it was clear because I don't want there to be a misunderstanding in respect to our approach. Our approach is a very delicate one. As long as they recognize that it's going to be Caymanians first and we're going to focus on them and that you are in agreement with that as a part of the parliamentary process, then we're good. Because I don't want them to think that I'm trying to get in the way of Caymanians.
Yeah.
But most of the applications, Deputy Leader, as you may not know, are for work permit holders, and that's where the problem lies.
And the article, if I may interject there, the article that I saw, what I saw, didn't really indicate whether or not they were Caymanian or non-Caymanian, but you got the impression that it was that they were Caymanian simply because they say that these people are sitting and waiting and ready to start work. And I could only imagine that would be Caymanians. But, Minister, you know...
The truth of the matter is that you can get a work permit in the Cayman Islands before you get your tax license. And that's an anomaly I'm trying to fix now.
Yeah.
So yes, they could be correct by saying that
before you get a public...
sitting ready before you get a public transport bus.
Yeah, you can't get a taxi license if you're not Caymanian.
Exactly. So I think the fact that the article did not specify that this was Caymanian tells you exactly the truth. Because if they were talking about Caymanians, they would have highlighted that this is Caymanians who are not getting these jobs, and look how bad the transport system is.
Yeah.
They didn't put that in because they know that it's not about Caymanians they're talking about. Anyway, folks, I just want to say thank you. There's always good and discussions when opposition and government agrees. But Joey, Honorable Deputy Leader, I do thank you for your input, and I agree with you. But we're trying our best to balance to make sure the companies go and look for Caymanian drivers. That's what we're trying to do. We're still paying millions of dollars in stipend, and I know that not everybody's going to be happy, but we're staying committed to a Caymanian first approach in respect to that. At the same time, trying to balance the opportunity for them to get back to work by a company-wide. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for that as well. Okay, Ms. Susan, let's try to grab another caller before the next commercial break. Caller, good. I think we have about 4 callers queued up, 3 or 4. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Ozzy.
Hey, good morning, Billy. Good morning.
Good morning also to the Honorable Leader and the Honorable Deputy Leader.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I've got 2 issues this morning. The first one has to do with what Dr. Markfield called about a little earlier. He said quite rightly that a matter is not considered to be settled normally until it goes to the highest court, and that is 100% correct. But I just want to add a little bit of more information regarding how practically you operate once there's a decision of the Grand Court. You see, at the moment, there is only one decision regarding the judicial review brought by Ms. Katina Angren, okay? There is only one court decision. So that if I'm sitting in a court of law, or rather in a government office or anywhere in Cayman, and I am giving legal advice on that issue, I will give legal advice which says that the court has decided as follows. So for now, it is settled for now, because that's the only court decision, and lawyers will give legal advice based on that decision. Now, what does happen usually, you wait until the period of appeal, and you did mention something about appeal. You wait until the time for appeal expires. Once it expires, then it becomes of authority, because now that's the only decision, and you are going to appeal. You are going to advise according to that. Okay, but that's a practical issue. The next thing I wanted to comment on is more like it's a law and politics issue. Now, I just want to find out from the opposition what their policy is regarding this same issue that you've been discussing about Caymanians and non-Caymanians getting jobs. Because there is a former politician who, I won't mention his name, he always used to say, whenever a job is created in Cayman, that job is for a Caymanian. It doesn't matter whether it is a high mutual funds job, whatever it is, the presumption is that that job is for a Caymanian. Mm-hmm. But once you go through the process of showing that there is no Caymanian available, then it goes to somebody else, a foreigner. Now, from an answer which was given by the leader of the opposition last time he was on, I didn't get that impression because I think somebody who sent in a message asked to say, well, are you worried about the fact that businesses, local businesses, are sometimes being pushed out of the market by foreign businesses? And I think his answer, maybe you can clarify it now, his answer wasn't, well, we are going to give Caymanians preference in the same way we should give Caymanians preference with jobs. His answer was that they should learn to compete. That's the way I understood him. So I'm asking, in winding up, is the policy of the PPM that any business opportunities that arise in the Cayman Islands, any jobs that are first created in the Cayman Islands, is there a presumption that Caymanians must be first given preference before the foreigners are given preference? That's my question this morning.
So I just need some clarification because you were speaking about jobs created and work permits, but then you switched to businesses. Are you asking on both sides, or are you just confusing the two?
No, I'm not confusing the two. I'm very clear in my thought. I'm asking for both because the same principle applies to both. Yes, I'm asking for both.
Well, I don't know if the same principle applies certainly as to who can own the business, but then when it gets down to the work permit, you have a Caymanian who owns the business, is making a living, providing for his family, but then applies for a work permit. So that's where the difference would lie when it comes to work permits and businesses. But I understand what you're asking.
Yes. There will be certain situations where, of course, there's a Caymanian who owns a business and applies for a work permit and so on. But I think you understand what I'm saying. In terms of preferences, in both categories, you agree that presumption that everything should be given to Caymanians first and foremost, is that a principle of the PPM? Thank you.
And I would say from my perspective, yes, as leader of the Progressives, that of course, Caymanians only have one place to go, and that's here. And so they must have, preference in terms of business ownership and to have first crack at what it is they're doing. I think sometimes we make it too easy for expats to come in and to open businesses and take, to compete. But I think what I was saying last time too, the premise that even within the Caymanians, we all have to learn to compete. It is a competitive environment in which we operate in, or should operate in terms of, I'm trying to think of the word.
But even amongst Caymanians, it's a very competitive.
It is, and that's where I'm going with it. But there's no doubt. There's none of us that are going to disagree with that statement. Caymanians have to have a choice. This is their country. Mm-hmm. They have nowhere else to go to. And
with respect, I think you just fudged the issue with respect, if I might say so, because to me, I don't find that in other countries. Put it this way. The issue is not so much whether there should be competition or not. Competition should be there. And I don't think that there is a problem that people should compete. But the thing is, should they compete unfavorably towards the foreign businesses? That's why I find that the answer is a little vague, sir, if I might say so. It's a little bit vague because it is saying, well, yes, Caymanians have got nowhere to go. This is what should happen. But they should learn to compete. To me, it doesn't give security to those Caymanians who are looking to have at least a turf they can call their own. I think that's a little bit of the problem. But that's my view. I thank you for your response. I just wanted to chime in on that.
Well, let me say that, certainly from my perspective and the government that I was involved with, the laws are very clear. Yeah. If there is a Caymanian available to do the job, who's capable of doing the job, they should fill that job. That from the work permit perspective, the laws are extremely clear. Where there are areas that Caymanians are not able to, or we do not have persons trained in that area. We tried our best with the construction school, with the nursing program at UCCI, with the hospitality program at UCCI, to fill those. We knew we had a construction boom, so we invested in the public works apprenticeship program. We took that up to 50 students. We knew that we were focusing on medical tourism, so we started the nursing program and other programs at UCCI, and the very same with the hospitality program. So not only did we, remain in, or the laws remained that if there is a Caymanian available and capable, they should, as you said, that job was created for them if they're able, capable, and willing to take that job. And then we went a step further to train persons in the areas that we knew there were jobs available. When it comes to businesses, the trade and business license law is the very same thing. If you are a non-Caymanian company, and we can argue about the 60-40 situation that lies here, where Caymanians are accused of fronting on certain instances. But if you are a Caymanian company, it's a 60-40. If you are applying for a business that Caymanians have not traditionally filled or do not have the economic ability to, which is very little these days, that Caymanians don't have the economic, then you can apply for local control licenses. And a lot of these were given primarily for what we call family offices. And now that we had to change the law for the anti-money laundering, anti-terrorism financing acts, that if you have what we used to call an exempt company, you now also have to get an LCC. And an exempt company means that you are not doing business in the Cayman Islands. Yeah. But there's warm bodies in seats and in homes and buying in the supermarket and the grocery stores. That is what we focused on. But no, 100%, our administration supported Caymanians to fill the jobs that were available for them to fill, and that they're willing and capable to do so, and we provided training for a lot of those.
Okay, gone way beyond my commercial break. We will return shortly after the commercial break. We still have callers on hold as well, and we want to give our panelists here an opportunity for more responses. So, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
Hello, Cayman. This is Governor Roper, here to remind you that there are only a few days left to enter the Cayman Platinum Cake Competition. Celebrate Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee and win the chance to have your winning recipe recreated and served at Government House this June at the Queen's birthday party. Submit your recipe today at gov.ky/Jubilee, where you can learn more about the competition and other exciting events. You have until Sunday, the 3rd of April. Good luck, Cayman, and happy baking.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We still have 3 callers queued up. We're going to grab another call. Just want to say that each caller, bear in mind that there's someone behind you waiting as well. So we ask you to please be as brief as possible. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record, and to your panel.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just quickly, as a business owner, a small business owner, I listened keenly on the minister position and previous government. The desire and the goal is to always hire Caymanian. But I think what we sometimes fail to recognize or acknowledge is the position is there open for the Caymanian, but they're not showing up for the position. We've just had job fairs, and a large selection turned out.
240.
Right? But at the end of the day, if I have a position open, and right now I do, I have a position for captain, I have a position for deckhand, I have a position for a tour guide and a driver, and no one has applied. I've put it on work, I've put it in EK, and no one. So when we hear that the ministers and previous ministers that we need to hire Caymanians, I think as a defense for small businesses, they are there pleading for Caymanians to apply. It's not easy applying for work permit, and I think most small businesses, and right now, if we're coming out of this, we're opening up, and here we are. We talk about fees for the bus drivers and the small businesses. Right now, for any small business or any business in the Cayman Islands to hire or to apply for a work permit, we have to find that $2,000 up front. And as a small business, that's not easy to find. And the permit is denied. And now we have to wait months to get that refunded. So we have a battle where we want to be in operation. I think what we fail to recognize also is most qualified trade Caymanians actually venture out.
Self-employed.
Mm-hmm. So they get to that stage where they can't find employee because now, me as a tradesman, I decide to open up my business. Whether it's a construction business, there's a lot of other individual who is married and they now have papers, then they open their business. The construction industry is swamped with small businesses. So I think where if the government wants to support Caymanian, they also have to recognize that the opportunity is there, but are they coming into the door? And right now, I can say, as a small business owner, I've had my ads out there now for over a month and a half. And no one applied. That is your first conversation earlier on was regarding those that come here can't read or nervous taking a test. The institution that implemented the test, as a tour guide, I wanted someone on one of my boats. The individual team speaks English clearly, could understand him, reads a little bit, not fluently. He did the test 5 times during the course of him being here. He ended up with 65, 72, but 2-3 points shy of making it. That individual had to leave the island. It cost him or the company, just in tests, almost $700. But the institution, no, you got to do it again. You got to do it again. What does a small business do when they're trying to survive in the industry that they're in? We do not have people locally applying for the position. There's a shortage. I am on a group chat with tons of operators, and right now I've reached out to each one, or a few of them. They can't get employees. The few that is here that can drive the boats, they're strung out. Today they're showing up, the next day they're not. A lot of these companies have contract with the cruise industry. It takes years to get a contract. And when they get it, they can lose it in a day or two. Because so we have to make sure we strike a balance.
Yes,
I
agree. Especially on the sectors.
Yep.
Yeah. Agree completely.
I'll leave you with that.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Thank you very much. Let's grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, Richie.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? How are things over there?
Pretty good, man. Nice and cool.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning to your panel there.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. OC, you know, the tourism business, I was in it 30 years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it always seems to me that from a government standpoint, they don't really pay no attention to that until it's time for elections, you know. And why I say that? I say that to say this, because it's a lot of Caymanians, well, at this stage it could be diminished a bit, that is into tourism or was into tourism. And right now, if anybody should be given the first chance at dealing out there with the tourists, should be Caymanians. I got to say that because the misinformation that some people from other countries come here and get into a taxi, and the reason they got into the taxi is because it's financed. Either they came as a gardener and the employer of them, they see where they can make some extra bucks. So they buy a van, give it to this guy, go and practice how, learn the roads and stuff like that. Listen, I'm going to get a license for you. And you're going to run this taxi, and you're bringing all the money to me in the evening. I'm going to pay you same weekly or a little bit more with your tips. You can do good. No, a lot of that went on in Cayman. I don't know if it's still going on, most likely. But the Caymanian government, I hold the government responsible. If they had put the right people in charge of recruiting or passing these people, passing the test, especially for Caymanians. Caymanians must be given the first preference. Anyway, you check it. But this whole heap of wrangling, jangling, that this one can come, get a permit for you to drive a bus, and you're out there. That's not supposed to happen. And it's not happened, and it's probably still happening right now. And that is why the situation it's going to get worse before it gets better.
But question though, in most instances, unless the company has a local company's control license, which means that they are
the law is very clear that to be a taxi operator, you have to be Caymanian.
Caymanian, yeah.
And then let me finish with Mr. And then to own a bus or a tour operation company, you have to be Caymanian.
Okay. No, what I was driving at was at the end of the day, the persons making the applications for these work permits are Caymanians, which is what you pointed out earlier as well. So
But then the company that own these buses, 15, 20 buses, they don't do going through all the process that a Caymanian is, and that same driver on that bus is supposed to be having information about the Cayman Islands that is relevant to the people.
We agree with that. We agree with that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then, why you going to tell a guy he can't bring in the 20 buses? No, you're not going to tell him that. You're going to tell him he can't get 20 drivers. Where he going to get them from? You think that Caymanian with God tax, they're going to go and drive his bus? You think that? You think that's going to happen? So he have to get the drivers from foreign. Mm-hmm. And when he get the drivers from foreign, the foreign drivers are not equipped. They don't have the knowledge about the Cayman Islands to be capable of dealing with these tourists. That is what is happening, man.
Yep.
Nobody can tell me because you see everybody right now at the stage is really money hungry, especially in that business, the transportation business. And then they put in every time Tom, Dick, and Harry out there to drive tourists. And the people are asking questions about the Cayman Islands. They can't answer it. I have to pull in here, pull into the shop to get something. And then they go and ask the attendant in the shop, well, you know where so-and-so, or you know anything about so-and-so, and then they go back and pass the information. That is going on, my friend.
Okay.
Caller? Going on.
Thank you very much for that. Ms. Susan, you want to take the break now? We're going to take a commercial break. How many callers do we still have on hold? Three more. And we have about less than 20 minutes left. So we're going to close off after the three callers. I want to give the panel here an opportunity to respond. So much being shot across the bow that, they will need time to respond as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacist will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The Water Authority is looking for the next generation of water professionals. Whether you want to be an engineer, a hydrogeologist, or work in a laboratory, there's a place for you. Start building your career by applying for the Water Authority's annual scholarship on our new online portal. Visit www.waterauthority.ky to learn more.
We asked 100 people what they would do with a little extra time. Top answers included hang with friends, sleep, volunteer, walking on the beach, watch TV. But the odd thing is, no one said, stand in line to pay my bill. Funny that. Now Logic introduces Logic My Account. Pay online, view bill history, schedule automatic payments, and more. Go to logic.ky/my account and pay online, not stand in line. Logic My Account. Go on. Give yourself a little extra time. Bake a cake, browse the web, yoga, spring clean.
The Ministry of Education invites all eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Saturday, April 30th, 2022.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor, continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We still have 3 callers on hold, and although I said it before, and I may have given a little bit more leeway in terms of previous callers, I'm still going to ask each caller to please be as brief as possible. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Nosy. Good morning to your panel.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning.
I am very good and blessed. I can see firsthand, like the last caller, Mr. Lennox, that I've been in the transportation business for a while. I actually gave it up in 2004. However, what he said just now is totally 100% true and correct. I, as a taxi driver, must be a Caymanian in order to hold a taxi license. But in any of the other transportation modes, I can be a foreigner. That is not right. It should be Caymanian and Caymanian only. How can you hire someone from Timbuktu to bring to Cayman that don't even know where Barton Town is? Much less what the turtle farm is about. Come on, I mean, where in the world are we going? You go to Bahamas, you go to Jamaica, you think you can leave from Cayman and go to either one of those jurisdictions and drive a cab or a tour bus? God forbid, no. It can't happen. Certain jobs should be designated for Caymanians and Caymanians only. And it gets me upset, man. And all other politicians are doing the same flipping thing. Every last one. So you can't come and tell me, oh, well, you got to be Caymanians first, and if they can't find it. No! Get it straight. No. I wish I had the power to be in the lawmaking business. You all would see what would happen.
Caller, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Connor. How are you all?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I only got one simple question.
Okay.
Why government is always talking about these increases in prices. You look on the gas pump now. The gas pump, $6.38 a gallon of gas, and they're doing nothing about it. That's all I got to ask you. I'll listen in.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Last caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm calling back again. Don't get tired of me. I would say that the police records for Caymanians, as second chances. But what I'm saying now, people come in here on work permit in line waiting for these jobs, right? As taxi drivers or any other permit, any job that requires a permit. But how we know about these people? How do we know if they don't have police records, where they come from, but they clean and put in nice? We don't got no time. We don't got time to go to the areas where they come from to question people about them, what they're all about, or anything. They can come here with their things all clean up and put it up and look good. And there's the biggest criminals. Look at, I think sometime years ago, we had a wanted person in the police force. I think it was a murder or charged a murder or something like that.
But caller, if you look at the numbers, we can't be 100% certain. But when we look at the number of work permits that we have issued and the number of, let's say, criminals that we have allowed in or that we have discovered since then, the numbers are very small. The system that we have in place in relation to that works. Yes.
I know it's small, but you know what happened? They haven't got caught. They not got caught. That's the problem. So we don't know what we have, but at least our people, we have if you got a record with them, we know what they're all about.
Point taken. Point taken.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. One more caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I've been listening to your show off and on.
What do you mean off and on? It should be on at all times.
I was outside.
Okay. Oh, you mean a little interruption? Okay, I thought you were changing channels.
Oh well, I don't. I was outside farming. Well, I called for this morning. I understand they say that all jobs are. All the taxes for Caymanians, drivers is Caymanians. So I just want to say that I would say probably 60% of the drivers gonna be I guess they're all paper Caymanians that have a taxi license that can run and work in the Cayman Islands. Well, I just want to say that as long as Cayman continue to grow, we're gonna have problems in every department on this small island that we call home, and nobody can fix it. In 4 years, nobody can fix it in 8 years or a lifetime because it's got to keep changing for the worse. And when it comes to the gas and the food, we got to be grateful and thankful that we can get gas and we can get food on this island. For an island that doesn't produce anything very much, a little bit of cassava and so forth. So we need to just pay what we can pay and leave the rest and stop complaining and thank God every day our eyes open. So we can get some gas and some food to eat. That's all I have to say this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. One more caller. I can't keep promising. People are going to start not believing what I say anymore. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, last week, earlier this week, I think it was on Monday, there was a lady who called in and went to extreme length about how easy it is to open an account. I think she said it was in New Jersey or somewhere in the U.S.
Yeah, I think that was on another show. Yeah.
Okay. In any event, I referenced the court case that the Privy Council court case that was just concluded and announced a couple months ago maybe, and to say what a marvelous job that the legislators and probably the administrators here in Cayman did to make that case ironclad. in so much so that we had the decision that we had. My question is, though, have anything like that have been considered for the financial services sector? One, have we ever challenged their rulings, like when it comes to blacklisting, grey listing, and the likes in a court?
There was once. I can answer that very quickly. It was once when the current Speaker of our Legislative Assembly, he was then either the Premier or Leader of Government Business, and it was called the savings tax legislation that was put in place, and he successfully challenged that. I don't have all the details on it, but I'll try to find it. But he did, when he was a leader in government, challenge them. Yes.
Okay, and that is good. And the reason why I ask that is because if our legislators can do such a great job in terms of such a major issue and an international scheme, I think we should, rather than when they blacklist us or they list us running to do everything that they say, which is basically putting the country out of business, we should seek to take a stand to challenge them even more in court, because that's the only way they would back off.
Yes. Yeah. Good point.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We're going to take a commercial break, folks. When we return, gentlemen, you have all the time in the world now. I shouldn't say all the time in the world, but you'll have some time to respond to all of the comments, questions that have been posed as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. No one can stop me when I taste the feel. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Parents and caregivers are the primary influencers in preventing underage drinking. When parents know the facts about underage alcohol use, they can protect their children from many of the high-risk behaviors associated with it. Parents who do not discourage underage drinking may have an indirect influence on young people's decision to drink. The NDC offers parents advice on how to talk to their children about underage drinking. For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of a very interesting and lively show this morning with the leader of the opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. I just have one WhatsApp message that I'd like to share as well. Person is seeking an opinion on this from the panel. Says, according to CNS, Off-Reg has not been able in 5 years, and it is still presently unable to determine how to address concerns of the public re-fuel prices. Where is their expertise? Now notification of a secondment of a veteran civil servant that knows nothing about fuel regulations. It goes on to say that since we have not had refueling at the storage tanks in Cayman, why have the prices at the pumps been raised? Who is knowledgeable enough to answer my query?
Well, I would just respond, to the question that I mean, I think Ofreg made it clear that the gas stations and the suppliers they cannot just go and put the prices up willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. They had to wait until there was fresh supplies came in at new pricing with regard to it. But I think we need to acknowledge too and remember that within the pricing system, the retailers do have some flexibility in setting the prices at which they sell. But what you're seeing now happening with what I think is the Esso stations, where there's a huge disparity. Mm-hmm. It would seem to me very clear that they did get a fresh shipment of fuel that came in within maybe the last week, 10 days, whatever it is. But normally, I mean, I know that they measure it and they time the increases to coincide with the depletion of the old stock that they have. And so I think it would appear to me that it is operating as intended. Okay. But one of the things I think that has traditionally been a problem for us is understanding how we get to the pricing where we are now. We don't know what the various stages and middlemen or whatever it is that it goes through that is driving up the cost. And so are we getting the best possible price? Absolutely.
As a mystery to us, and I think that is basically just to confound the public and to have an excuse. Now, I shared last week, I believe it was, or may have been the week before that, an article in the Royal Gazette. Bermuda imports fuel probably, they say, anywhere between 4 and 5 times per year. So they know what is in the tanks and they know when it comes in. They also, Bermuda's legislation allowed the Premier to deny an increase in fuel. And my question then, and my question now is, why don't we look at our legislation to be able to give, if not a minister, then to give Ofreg the teeth in legislation to be able to do more than they're doing? Because everyone agrees now that Ofreg is no more than a monitor. They're just monitoring nothing. I call them a paper tiger.
I might be mistaken, but I do believe Ofreg has to approve the increases. I might be mistaken, but they have to certainly notify Ofreg when there's increases. OCI, this issue is going to come up. It goes away when international fuel prices are lower, and it rears its head when international fuel prices increase. The argument is the correlation between the two, or how do you get from the price internationally, from the barrel, to the price in Cayman. And the fuel companies would tell you, well, the company here in Cayman is a Cayman company, and we're buying it from the Caribbean company who buys it from the fuel maker. And that is where I think perhaps, and certainly not taking up for them, but perhaps that's where Ofreg is having a difficulty in finding the true cost or the true margins on the fuel. But I have to say that, similar to the caller who called earlier to say that we have access to fuel and we have access to food, in this case, I think we have to start considering and looking even closer as an individually at our reliance on fossil fuels. Whether that reliance is on driving our big, nice SUV with the AC on all the time, whether that reliance is there's 5 members in the household and all 5 have a car and all 5 drive to town every morning to go to work, whether that reliance is the responsibility of the government to put in place proper public transport, so to allow people to be able to move freely across the country, comfortably across the country, and then right down to at our homes, the choice of keeping the AC on all day, or whether it's going to be 74 degrees at night or 77. Whether we open the windows when it's cool, these are individual choices we all have to make. But I do believe that individually we have a responsibility, but also as a government, as the topic today was about public transport. We need to look at our public transport. It has to be that public transport is reliable, comfortable, and in particular around Georgetown, people are able to move around. And I think that a key to road closures, a key to public transport is that you have the ability to hop on to it, whether they do it as a golf cart or whatever, but it's very difficult. It was very clear to us when we did our road show on traffic that in particular elderly people would be happy to take public transport into Georgetown. But when you come into Georgetown and it's 90 degrees, feels like 95, and you have to go to Credit Union over by Smith Road, or you have to go to, and then you have to go to Digicel in town, and you have to go to needs assessment. By the time you walk to Credit Union after you get off the bus, you're done. You're soaking wet, you're exhausted. The heat, and if it's raining, forget it. So this is why, things like identifying park and ride parking lots on the outer skirts of town, identifying and having a hop on, hop off around town and key areas. These are things that will help reduce traffic, but also allow people to save on fuel and take public transport more often wherever possible. So we can shout at off-reg all day long. We can shout at the government all day long, but the government has no control over what's happening in Russia. It has no control what's happening in Middle East. It has no controls over the United States or the Canadian government's policy on mining fuel. And it certainly has no control over where you keep your AC or how many cars you have or how efficient your car is.
But Mr. Hugh, I would respectfully disagree to this point. We have seen other jurisdictions being able to step in and at least deny increases to a certain extent, or we have seen them make, like previous governments have done in the Cayman Islands as well, make adjustments to, let's say, what the fuel importers, whatever taxes that the government would receive, Right. So there are still things, but
there are some things, absolutely.
And that's why we have legislators. That's why we have you all in Parliament to ensure that you introduce and implement laws that will protect the people of the Cayman Islands. So while there are certain things that we don't have under our control, there are certain things that we do.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and I said, but it has to be that combination.
Yes. Okay.
Because even if you have controls, how are you going to defy the fuel company from making a profit? You can't. So even if you have controls over it, and you said, okay, well, you can't have 3 increases, you can only have 1 increase. The situation that remains is that if fuel prices go up because of a war or because of a decision another government makes, fuel prices are going to go up. That was just my point.
Okay.
We can't expect the companies to operate at a loss. I'm not taking up for them, and I certainly believe that perhaps through off-reg there could be stricter policies and maybe look. I know one of the concerns that have been raised over again is, and when we do comparisons to fuels in other jurisdictions where the price at the pump is lower, then we get into what is the quality of the fuel as well. So,
Mr. Leader?
No, I was going to say there are just so many different variables there, AC, OC, and they government's ability to control the pricing is very limited. We get, I think it is 75 cents a gallon. That's the current tax on fuel that is imported in here.
Okay.
And given the so that the revenue the government gets from it is quite substantial. But once you start to artificially manipulate the pricing of your fuel, it's a very narrow window of opportunity to do that there before you start affecting. If the gas station, not the gas stations, but the fuel suppliers are not able to make money because you artificially say, well, you can't put your price up. what are they going to do? Trade themselves out of existence? You get in. I'm speaking of extremes here, but you get into these sorts of
that
things.
That is if we already know the profit margin
Absolutely.
under which they are operating. We don't know that.
We don't know that yet. And therein is
that's a challenge. That is a challenge. Like
Yeah.
I said, because of the company structures that are there too.
Yeah.
That is a challenge because we see the name Rubis doesn't mean that we are Rubis of North America. And those are some of the challenges that Off-Reg would have. But I know we're running out of time, OC.
Yeah, very quickly, because I think we got a press briefing that we're going to, but very quickly. So.
Yeah, so I just wanted, OC, there was one thing that we didn't touch on, and that was regen. Recent news has shown us that perhaps regen has been paused. The EIA has been paused, it seems, so therefore all works now have been paused. I don't have much. I really do not have a whole lot of confidence that this government will actually carry through the project and or will find a solution that was better than the solution that's on the table. So I am turning my attention now on behalf of my constituents to the actual landfill and appealing to the minister to ensure that as we see that the timelines that we had for the current landfill site are not going to be met, then we need to really start looking at how we manage that landfill site. And we cannot afford where that landfill is now. It's close proximity to Parkway, to Marbell, to Washington Boulevard, to Watlers Road. We cannot afford a fire there.
Okay, gentlemen, I want to thank you all very much for being here. I look forward to having you next week again. Absolutely. It's been exciting. I don't have too many politicians on my show these days, but I'm sure that'll change at some point as well. Folks, we're going straight to press briefing. Have a great day and continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury.